slide. And there's a way which you can see the animation and what's happening. That's called the graph editor. And it's actually the fourth option down here. You can get to that layout if you want. If you can't see that button, you can actually go up into layouts here, not layouts, sorry, save layouts, and you can go and find it down here. So we're looking for perspective graph from outliner. And this is the animation curves that I've got at the moment. So this is the animation graph I've got at the moment. So let's just take you through some of the very basics with this. So if I want to move a keyframe, I can pick it up with just a left click, and I can move that around. I need to go to the move tool if I'm moving something, the scale tool if I'm scaling something. So in this case the move tool, and I can just, once I've selected it, I can middle click and I can start moving that about, so I can change what's happening with the animation. Now I've got two things showing here. I've got the translate Y and I've got the scale. Both of them are shown vertical, as in an increase in number is an increase on the graph here. Now with the translate Y that makes sense. I can pick up this point and I know that if I raise that, the ball is going to go higher, and if I lower that, the ball is not going to travel as high. So that makes sense with translate Y, but scale doesn't make quite so much sense going up and down in the graph. So let's just have a look at what happens. So you can see that there's a raise in here as it stretches. So if I continue to raise that, you can see the stretch continues to get more extreme, and if I don't stretch it as much, or if I lower that, then it won't stretch as much, sorry. So I can play around with that with these keyframes until I'm happy with them. I can even change the shape of the curve itself, so I can pick up one of these tangents just by drawing a marquee around it, and again I've got the move tool selected over here. Shortcut key for that is W. So I can actually change the shape of this curve and what that looks like, and you can see how these are called tangents, and you can see how they're changing and behaving. Now I could do the same. Let's go to translate Y. Let's just change this shape slightly. Now I'm just going to tell the computer here that I want it to level out the keyframes on these here. So you could practice playing around with some of these buttons up here and see what happens with them. That's probably the quickest way to learn all this. I'm not going to go through too much. Let's just scoot back on the timeline here, and if I play that now, you should see that the animation, you know, the shape of the ball stretch now is very different to what it was before. So we're playing around with the translate Y, the scale. You can see, look at what's happening here. You can see what's happening with that stretch as it comes down. It's actually getting bigger in totally the wrong place. Let's just fix that a little bit because that's not very nice. So I'll just pick that up, and I'm just going to, just like I did before, I'm going to flatten that out, and that can work on changing that curve slightly if I want to. Actually, I think it's better just flattening that out and leaving it there. Let's see what that looks like now. Okay, so we've learned how to add a keyframe, how to use the auto keyframer, how to use the S key to keyframe every channel. We've also learned how to use the graph editor in a very basic way, and you can see that if I'd keyframed all the channels, I would have had all the channels listed here, and that would have made it much more confusing for me to start trying to edit and play around with the animation to fine-tune it afterwards. So I hope that's made a little bit of sense to you. Oh yes, by the way, whatever you have selected in the scene is what will show up here. So if I have no ball selected, I won't see anything there. If I have the ball selected, I'll see it there. Do remember you can also keyframe things on the inputs and history. This is often very useful, obviously, for various reasons. Being able to keyframe the shape of something, or if you've done a deformation or something, you want to keyframe that and change it throughout an animation, is quite useful. So and again, make use of the attribute editor and keyframing things inside here as well. I can keyframe colour, so I can set a keyframe just in there. As soon as I do that, there's a connection made which goes through to a graph. It tells me what that is, and you can also see here that it starts to add values in there. So if I so let's just go back again and change that colour a little bit here, and then change the frame, change the colour a little bit. Let's get it in order and set the keyframe there. Just make sure that's happened, and then you can see that the values have changed. They've come down, and then if I have that showing in the scene here, we should see that the colour changes as well. So that's animating colour. So there's loads of stuff you can do with this. I hope it's been helpful and enjoyable tutorial to watch, and I hope you have fun playing around with your new skills.